Welcome to Industry TV Network. Make sure you hit the like button, share, and subscribe. In this video, we're going to be discussing a feud, that private feud really, that went on for many years between Bill Cosby and Eddie Murphy. Now I have to say, when I saw Raw and Eddie Murphy did that skit about Bill Cosby calling him and telling him he couldn't say certain things in his stand-up, I kind of thought that was, something that really happened. But it's being proven today. Eddie Murphy is being very vocal about his relationship with Bill Cosby. Eddie Murphy's return as wisecracking cop Axel Foley in his new film Beverly Hills Cop Axel F, now on Netflix, arrives with high expectations. Murphy hasn't had a hit since 2011's Tower Heist and has concentrated his efforts on streaming platforms over the past few years, releasing so-so films such as 2021's Coming to America and the 2023 Christmas film Candy Cane Lane. His last film to have a cinematic release, 2016's Mr. Church, made an unimpressive $685,000 at the box office. But Murphy's inimitable blend of profane comedy and, even at the age of 63, explosive stunts is once again proving a hit with audiences. Now, I don't know what they're saying in this article. This was an article released by MSN.com, but I enjoyed Coming to America too, especially the visuals and the images. It was beautiful to me. There is one 86-year-old retired actor and comedian, though, who is unlikely to be excited about a new Beverly Hills Cop picture: Bill Cosby. The figure, once fondly known as America's Dad, saw his career blaze out after multiple allegations of rape and sexual assault, YouTube has a problem with us saying those words, were brought against him. He was subject to multiple civil and criminal cases, imprisoned for 3 years, and has not worked since 2014. Yet long before his name became synonymous with appalling behavior, Cosby and Murphy engaged in one of Hollywood's most bitter and most enduring feuds. In September of 2018, the photographer Jeff Kravitz put a picture on Instagram that he had taken in 1989 of a softball game, which included 5 of the biggest actors and comedians of the 20th century, namely Red Fox, Eddie Murphy, Sidney Poitier, Cosby, and Richard Pryor. It was an unexpected gathering, not least because Murphy and Cosby had not been on speaking terms for a considerable time. However, Poitier, one of the great diplomats of Hollywood, prevailed on the men to come together under the auspices of celebrating 2 pictures that they were then about to release: Poitier's Ghost Dad, which starred Cosby, and Murphy's directorial debut, Harlem Nights, which featured Pryor and Fox. If the game was intended to bring harmony where there was discord, it was unsuccessful. Kravitz recalled, "I went down there wanting to get Eddie and Bill together, since Eddie slammed him so hard in his stand-up. This was the closest I could get them all day. They did this for charity and didn't care for each other." Looking at the photo today, there was a heroic understatement. Murphy is staring into the camera, deadpan cool in shades. Cosby is turned away from him with the expression of someone who wants a horrible experience to be over with as quickly as possible, while Poitier stands between them as a beaming peacemaker, trying to bring 2 of the great stars of African American comedy together. Yet even his impressive skills could not reconcile the loathing between the two, which had first began in 1986.
Chastised me on the phone for being too dirty on stage, and it was real weird because I had never met him, and he just thought he should call me up because he was Bill and tell me that he did about what comedy is all about. And I sat and listened to this man chastise me, and when Bill Cosby chastises you, you forget you grown. You feel like one of the Cosby kids and shit. And I ran in the house all excited to talk to Bill and picked up the telephone, and Bill got raw on me. I was like, "Hello, Mr. Cosby?" And you hear, "I would like to talk to you."
Back then, Murphy was flying high, thanks to the success of his stand-up, which included a well-received stint on Saturday Night Live and the 1983 live film Delirious, as well as such box office hits as Trading Places, 48 Hours, and the first Beverly Hills Cop film released in 1984. The latter especially established the actor as a box office draw in his own right after he took over the role of Axel Foley from Sylvester Stallone, who had developed the picture and wished to play the part as a hard-edged, dramatic role. Murphy, though, gave it a more comedic spin, while managing to continue to offer the action-packed capering that audiences wanted. Beverly Hills Cop became 1984's biggest box office hit, earning $234 million at the box office, and made Murphy the biggest star in the world. His success was largely welcomed by his peers, but he was surprised a couple of years later to receive a call from Cosby, in which the older man berated him for his expletive-riddled humor in his shows. Murphy recounted the incident in his 1987 stand-up show, Raw, in which he described himself as a big fan of Cosby, but also said that he had never met the man, but he called me about a year ago and chastised me about being too dirty on the stage. It was really weird because I had never met him, and he just thought he could call me because he was Bill and tell me that isn't what comedy is all about. I sat and listened to this man chastise me, and when Bill Cosby chastises you, you forget you're grown. You feel like you're one of the Cosby kids. The skit was hilariously delivered, but clearly it rankled with Cosby, whose contemporary sitcom The Cosby Show was the most popular comedy show of the decade and was notable for its presentation of the lives of an affluent, middle-class black family, a conscious attempt to move away from stereotypical depictions of violent, promiscuous, or drug-ridden African-American culture. Murphy, meanwhile, was the son of a single mother whose father was stabbed to death when he was 8. He came from a different world than Cosby, a former keen sportsman and naval petty officer, and the animosity between the two of them was genuine. As Murphy later said to Jerry Seinfeld when he appeared in the latter comedians in Cars Getting Coffee, Cosby had a weird thing with me that he didn't have with other comics. It was mean. He wasn't nice. He wasn't doing that with everybody. He was doing that with me specifically. He was very shitty to me. After the uniquely awkward picture of the two men was taken by Kravitz, both of their films underperformed. What? Harlem Nights? Although Harlem Nights was a minor financial success, doubling its $30 million budget, it received dreadful reviews and led Murphy to say, "I just wanted to direct just to see if I could do it, and I found out that I can't, and I won't do it anymore." I think Harlem Nights was a very good movie. I don't know what they're talking about. Ghost Dad, meanwhile, was both a critical and commercial flop, with movie critic Roger Ebert calling it a desperately unfunny film. Whoever thought it was a good idea? Murphy and Cosby could have buried the hatchet and commiserated over their shared ill fortune, but while Murphy's career soon rebounded, Cosby never again had a leading role in cinema. His next major series, Cosby, an American remake of One Foot in the Grave, was successful enough, running to 4 seasons and 96 episodes, but it didn't receive anything like the popularity of The Cosby Show. And there, the feud might have ended had it not been for Cosby's conviction and subsequent disgrace. Murphy continued to take public potshots at his nemesis, remarking in 2015 when he was awarded the Mark Twain Prize for American Humor that Bill has one of these. Did you all make Bill give his back? You know you effed up when they want you to give your trophies back. Interviewed by Jimmy Kimmel the year afterwards, Murphy revealed that he had not heard from an irate Cosby, but also stated that, "I'm not afraid of Bill." 4 years later, he took another dig at Cosby, by now in prison, during an SNL monologue in which he said, "If you would have told me 30 years ago that I would be this boring stay-at-home house dad and Bill Cosby would be in jail, even I would have took that bet." He concluded, referencing his own 10 children, "Who's America's dad now?" This, however, was too much for Cosby, who shot back via his spokesman, Andrew Wyatt, that one would think that Mr. Murphy was given his freedom to leave the plantation so that he could make his own decisions, but he decided to sell himself back to being a Hollywood slave, an allusion to his return to SNL after 3 decades. Wyatt continued, "Remember, Mr. Murphy, that Bill Cosby became legendary because he used comedy to humanize all races, religions, and genders. But your attacking Mr. Cosby helps you embark on just becoming clickbait. Hopefully you will be amenable to having a meeting of the minds conversation." Cosby was released from prison in 2021. As far as we know, no conversation has taken place. One thing I can say that I don't appreciate is how they pit people against each other in the media. Like, I think that's really, really bad. Yeah, these two men have a problem with each other. And I think Eddie Murphy has a legitimate cause to be kind of, irate with Bill Cosby. There was also complaints that Dave Chappelle was contacted by Bill Cosby and that he and Oprah was constantly bothering him about his comedy show that he had, and which made him turn down the $50 million. But that's alleged. I haven't heard any proof of that or gotten any confirmation. But many years later down the line, my thoughts seems to be true. Like, I believed when I saw Raw that was true. That Eddie Murphy was trying to tell us that Bill Cosby was trying to control his content. But now it's all spilling out on the surface. Now there's another thing also that I wanted to address. For many years people were saying that Eddie Murphy and Richard Pryor did not get along and this and this and that. But Eddie Murphy straightened that out as well. He said that Richard Pryor was his idol and how excited he was to have run into him at an airport one time, and that he made Richard laugh, and he never really saw Richard laugh like that. And Richard dropped him off and gave him a ride. He didn't have a ride to where he was going from the airport, and Richard gave him a ride. So I'm so glad that he cleared that up, because for many, many years they were trying to say that Eddie Murphy had a problem with Richard Pryor, and he said nothing of the sort. He said Richard Pryor was very nice to me. He didn't mentor me, but he was very nice to me and he accepted me. So let me know what you guys think about all of this in the comments. Ciao for now.